and welcome to Visible Portrait of Light Art Exhibit Podcast once again. And I am your host, Danny Tennell, the voice of 87.7 Right On Radio FM here in Memphis, Tennessee. Can you dig it? And with me is my co-host and ever faithful friend, Miss Sharonda Walker, who is also a co-owner of this amazing art exhibit podcast, as well as presenting to you one of our esteemed honorees, yes, none other than the great Dr. David Anderson of Clear Creek Missionary Baptist Church. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. Thank y'all for having me.
Oxford, Mississippi.
Oxford, Mississippi.
Represent.
Yes.
Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Listen, we're letting everyone know that has the opportunity to see the podcast, that you were chosen by the people, from the people, and of the people to be one of the finalists in the 2025 honoree. Now, if I'm correct, and Ms. Walker can correct me, my memory should be still sharp at 61.
All right.
That 95 pastors, you were one of the 12 finalists out of 95 pastors that people nominated. How does that make you feel, sir?
You know, it's an honor. I think it's an honor. It's an honor that the work that's been put in down through the years, we started as boy preachers. And so for the community to recognize the work that has been done down through the years, it's a blessing. It's a blessing and an honor for people to recognize.
I like how you said we started as boy preachers.
Yes.
I just happen to know you because we went to the same church.
Right.
Before you became a pastor.
Right.
So when you say boy preachers, can you elaborate on that? What do you mean?
Yeah, so my brother, biological brother, and
what is your biological brother's name?
Pastor Derek Anderson, the executive pastor, Brown Baptist.
Yes.
And then just a slew of friends that we grew up with, Pastor Anthony Self, Pastor Zedrick Clayton, Pastor Terry Mackey, Pastor William Smith. These are doctors now because we are going through the program. But it's a slew of young pastors and preachers, at the time ministers in the city, preaching the gospel, called at an early age, either in middle school or high school. Started preaching the gospel, and now to see years later that God has called us to lead churches is our dreams come true. Because that was something that we always looked up to. Many are pastoring churches they dreamed about. And we're just having the opportunity to preach that, and yet God has blessed us many years later.
So how was your experience when you were called? What was it? Were you called, or something tugging at you? What
right.
was that?
And I know in our tradition we believe in literally being called by God, some type of divine experience, so to speak, that God is allowing you or tapping on your shoulders and saying, hey, you're called to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ. Throughout high school and probably in middle school, I think I felt the tug earlier on. I had the opportunity to kind of partner with Dr. Terry Mackey, Pastor Darrell Petty's, others that we were in school together singing in choirs. But when I got to Whitehaven High School,
you graduated from
Whitehaven High School. That's
so
my place. That's right.
So did I.
That's a good place. The White House.
The White House. Yeah.
There was a service. Dr. Terry Mackey and others were doing called the Fellowship of Christian Students. And it just wasn't a fellowship. It was a literal service that we would have on Wednesday mornings and Friday mornings. And I somehow or another got in the mix of the fellowship and started speaking and preaching there, along with just kind of traveling to other churches with Dr. Terry Mack and other pastors and preachers, just sharing the gospel of Jesus Christ. And of course, being a Brown Baptist at the time, I just felt this tug. Pastors were sitting down with me and saying, hey man, you need to surrender the call that we know that is on your life. My frustration was saying, God, listen, you're going to have to make it clear to me if I'm going to do this. I'm not just going to go into this all happy and willing you're gonna have to call me.
Uh-huh.
And my 12th grade year, Whitehaven High School.
You about to graduate.
Yes, about to graduate.
Uh-huh.
I felt the call of God. I went forth. Wednesday night Bible study was happening. At that time, Pastor Jeff Daniels
I'm familiar with Jeff.
Yes, he was the assistant pastor at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Pastor Ward was out of town, and so I was looking to talk to Pastor Ward that night, but Pastor Jeff was there that night, Pastor Jeff Daniels, and I told him, I said, hey, I know I've been called by God. He said, listen, I need you to take a week to pray about it. When Pastor Ward gets back in town, we're going to have a conversation about it. Met with Pastor Ward, and I think he said, take some time to make sure to pray about it. I think over a month later, we came back, and it was so. Moved up to my first sermon, and the rest was history, as they say.
I think I may have heard that.
Yes,
first sermon.
yes.
I may have been in the place. Yes.
Yes.
So, we often like our viewers to see you, of course, as the spiritual leader that you are, but then we also like for them to get a taste of you as a human being.
Right.
So with that, would you share with our listeners something that they may not know about you, some hobby of sort that keeps you going?
Right. Well, I think, because ministry has a heavy weight and we started at such a young age, there are the ups and the downs of ministry. One of the things that's been tough for me over the years is leading and facilitating funerals, right? And so one of the things that I had to develop earlier on was something that would help my mental health. That would just, because we would do so many, it would seem like it was so many, Saturday after Saturday, week after week, and it starts to weigh on you because it hurts you just like it hurts the families in your congregation.
Yeah.
And so I developed something that helped balance me out. And you would never guess, it's test driving cars. I would literally, after all these funerals, after the repast and all these things, I would go to the dealership, spend a little time circling the lot, because, it was so exciting to be able to just to have something exciting to do. They were just balance the lows that I have. Right. And so just test driving the cars. Folks thought I was buying all the cars. I said, nope, I'm just test driving this today. Just excited to do that. The other thing is travel. Just taking some time to create a healthy rhythm. I learned from some mentors, hey, when you work hard, you're driving hard, you need to take some time away just to get time. And so either whether it's in isolation by myself or spending time with my family, it just blesses me to be able to get away. And so I think in between travel and technology and enjoying cars, I think those are the things that really help my mind.
So they would know that. That's a good thing.
I don't know if they would know that. Yeah, I don't think anybody would think that I was coming to just test drive cars. But it's a great thing just to help my mental balance, to deal with the lows of it, just to get myself back into a healthy mental place.
Good. That sounds great. Who were those that influenced you? You started young, so that means that there's a lot of extra pressure when you start young. So who were some of the people that poured into you?
Right. I would start off by saying my parents.
And they are?
William and Brenda Anderson.
Okay. Right. I like to...
Yes.
I realize even with my husband, that I have 3 aunts. I have on my mom's side I have 3 aunts and an uncle. And often I'll say my aunt. And so he's like,
who are they? Right.
The universal term mom. We all all say mom or dad. But where I am in this space, especially with what we're doing, even with the exhibit, it's about paying honoring. There's power in name. There's power in the name. So the fact that you're here has a whole lot to do with who?
William and Brenda Anderson.
There we go.
Yeah.
So that's why I always say
So just growing up in a Christian home, my mom, dad, Sunday school teachers for us, even in the church. My brother and I got started in church and church leadership very, very young. And so, junior superintendents, all the things for Sunday school, just being a part of the makeup of the church, at a very young age. But it wasn't just Sunday morning, it was their lifestyle and their teaching and their living it out all throughout the week that we could see. And so it wasn't like a lot of people's experiences where there's somebody on Sunday and there's somebody else on the week. Right. They are themselves all the time. Again, served in the various roles of the church. And then my grandparents, so William Anderson Sr., Gertrude Anderson, Betsy Watson, those was the ones that really sold into us. And so, listen, as a little boy, I would imitate preachers, even as a little boy. And so they would give me the platform to have a table. I would come to a table like this, short, open my Bible, and my grandmother would get on the phone and call her sister and say, David's preaching. And so everybody would be tuned in. So, wasn't no social media then. It was just on the phone, right? Just on the phone, just be listening. And so the encouragement, what they really believed about me, just was amazing to see, just the thrust of it all. They didn't get a chance to live to see me preach, accept my call, but I think they knew just what they were sowing into us, because again, products of the church, really have a high level of belief in us, and all the support that went along with it. So from parents to grandparents, my initial influencers were there. And then just kind of growing up as I got into the church, for me, my pastor, Dr. Bartholomew Orr, man, just a real pastor. When I talk about just being a real pastor, everybody knows of the success, but just being a real, like what you see on the stage is what you see behind the scenes. And because God called him so young, it was not hard for him to allow us the opportunity. And this is the blessing. He gave us the opportunity as boy preachers to have the opportunity to preach, to have the opportunity to go out and travel, have the opportunity to take leadership roles at a very, very young age. So all of those things blessed us, where people, that's not a regular thing. That didn't happen. Where a young pastor is given young boys an opportunity to grow and blossom in the church that God called him to.
He's secure in his call.
Secure in his call, right. And you got to be secure in your call, and not threatened by young gifts that are coming around you. So cultivating those gifts, and then again allowing us to go out, never limiting us. I hear so many stories where senior pastors have put, locks on and caps on them. Glass ceiling, you can't grow, you can't go. But he's always been a proponent for us to go. And watch this, here's the blessing. When we would travel, just sending people with us. Who does that, right?
Like the
Folks
choir.
Choir come with you, youth choir, mass choir, announcing it. Hey, Pastor David Anderson preached here, Pastor Derek Anderson preached here, Reverend Anthony Self preached, whatever that case, that's just a blessing that it's just, you can't buy that with money. That's a blessing.
So did you ever take a trip out of the country on one of the mission trips?
Now that's the interesting thing. Out of all the places, I haven't yet taken the out of the country trip yet.
Right, I know we've been doing it.
Right, yes. The closest I got, and I forgot what happened. There was a mission conference when I was an undergrad. I was ready to do something. My undergrad was at Crichton College, and so it changed to Victory Valley, and now it's they've disappeared.
Right.
But that was my undergrad experience. But missions thing was coming through, and I forgot what happened. It shut down. I know Brown was going to help fund me to go there, but I don't know something happened where it shifted, and we didn't get a chance to go. So, but that's one that's still on my list to go to. Yes.
You got a question for them?
Yes. You mentioned the people who, as Sharonda said, poured into you, and you reflected on the positive impact of parents, grandparents, and pastors.
Right.
In your mind, and it's all right. When you picture yourself, what are you projecting? Say you're an observer and mechanics.
Right.
There's a thing where they say we are the observer, the observer effect.
Right.
What are you projecting that you hope what do you hope you're projecting?
Right, right.
You know?
Right.
As you remember the people who came before you,
Right.
what are you trying to project to the community that you serve?
Right, right. Well, one, I think my big hope is to be able to sow into the next generation. Because people sowed in us so young and gave us the opportunity so young, I want to pay it back. Being in the school system, hey, working with kids daily, want to pay it back. Working with students, I started off youth pastor, want to pay it back. And even now, just in the community, I'm hoping that now, I've had a little, what do you call it, almost midlife crisis type thing as I'm getting older, because now we were always been the young pastors and the young preachers, and now we're just the preachers. Right, right. And so I get stuff like, we talked about, me and a couple of guys talking about the other day when somebody said OG and big bro. I said, wait a minute now, I'm still a young pastor. I want you to understand, but definitely are trying to really sow into, want to be a beacon of light to the next generation. I also want to come off non-judgmental. One of the things for me is to really understand each generation. I know sometimes the generation prior can look down and be critical because people were, and that happens to all of us, right? Mm-hmm. Whatever styles are happening at the time, the generation was looking, saying, "Oh, the generation before, they're not going to make it. This is going to be the case." But I'm looking at it and saying, "Hey, I know where you are, and we want to take who you are
right now,
and right now, who you are, your character, what God has called you to be. You don't have to be me to lead, but I want to give you all the tools. I want to give you all the resources and all the opportunities to be able to do so." But the other thing is, I pray that I am a light of hope, help, and healing. That's been one of my big things. Hope, help, and healing. We say that at the Creek. We are a community of believers that would love to create hope, help, and healing for the local community, for the region, and globally. That's the idea, to offer hope, help, and healing. Because we believe that everywhere else there is so much darkness, doom, and death. Well, let's find a place, let's be agents of hope, help, and healing for dying world.
So before we started the podcast, you were sharing one of the effective ministries that you all have started. It was a personal journey that you invited the church. Would you tell our listeners about that?
Yeah, so we kicked off the year with this thing called Get Fit. And what we've been trying to do is, one, it was a personal focus for me in terms of health. And again, getting older, and so when I went to the doctor, the doc said, "You got to work on some things, right?" And I said, "Wow, and even when we do hospital visitation, we are noticing doctors are talking to us and saying, 'Hey, you all are keeping us rich because there are some things that are preventable. Everything's not preventable, but there are some things that are preventable. So what can you do to do so?'" And so instead of taking the journey by myself, there's several saying, "Hey, why don't you take the church to the journey with you as you're getting fit," right? So it was getting fit physically, getting fit spiritually, getting fit in all ways. And so each Sunday we took the church through the opportunity to get fit. And one of those big ones was, hey, let's start moving, let's start eating right. And let's not just do it for this series, but let's do it throughout, so we can be the best we can be as we do the Word of God.
That's good. So you physically fit, spiritually
fit, financially, and then relationally.
Now, that intrigued me. Talk about it.
So, we kind of talked about all types of relationships. And we went through this thing called Love Busters. There's a book called Love Busters, and we were going through this idea of what are the things that cause issues in relationships. So whether it's your romantic relationship, or your dating or marriage life, whether it's the parent-child or child-parent relationship, whether it's a work relationship, all of these have some guidelines that we need to make sure that we're being relationally strong in our lives. And so we walk through that just to say, hey, what are the things that are going to compromise relationships? What are the things that are going to create problems? What are the things that keep relationships working? And so how do we stay fit in all of those ways?
That's good. Yeah. That's a good I can see why you're one of 12 lights,
Mhm.
you know, that even though you're in Oxford, Mississippi, your light is shining bright right here in the Memphis
Right.
metropolitan area where you grew up
Right.
and also attended church.
Right.
But I can see why you're lighted because there's so much negativity that you hear in the Memphis area. You hear, you know, you turn on the news, you listen to the radio, you hear
Right.
something negative. So being a bright light,
Right.
not only being a bright light, but also equipping the people
Right.
that you serve with tools,
Right.
because everybody didn't grow up
Right.
with Mary and
Mm-hmm.
William and
Right. Brenda Wick. Yeah.
Brenda. I knew it was something. I was like, okay,
Right,
Mary. I'm thinking about the Bible. I guess.
Right.
But just the same,
Right.
everybody didn't have those strong seeds
Right.
sown into them.
Right.
So that's the purpose for us to be
Right.
that kind of light, and we're just grateful that you are one of 12 honorees that will be spotlighted here in the Memphis metropolitan area on. Now, all you listening, you all want to make sure you attend the 3rd annual Visible Portraits of Light art exhibit. It's going to be the last Sunday in April the 27th. We also want you to get your tickets. You can go to Be Visible. You can call us. You can also go to Eventbrite. Oh, everybody knows you can go to Eventbrite to get VIP tickets or general admission tickets. We want to see you in the place. All Dr. Anderson's friends grew up with, come out and see his original oil portrait unveiled. I wanted to say add about this particular art exhibit.
Okay.
The Paint America Clean Foundation is on a mission, along with Be Visible Products and Services, to create one of the largest art exhibits of spiritual leaders in the country. We started right here in Memphis, And so this year there's going to be 36 original oil portraits. The 2025 honorees, like yourself, your portraits will be unveiled at the event. The 2023 and the 2024, their portraits will be on exhibit, along with local high school students. Local high school students participated in an art contest, and they were able to draw or paint someone who they feel is a everyday citizen. In fact, here's a couple of samples. This particular work, we got talent in Memphis.
Wonderful. Yes.
This talent, I cannot see, but this student is from Central High School, and they painted a portrait of their friend Jasmine.
Wow.
So colorful and vibrant.
Yes.
Right here in Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah.
Let me see this one. Let's see. Danny, that's good. This is also from Central. He just happened to these two are from Central High School. This is a 12th grader, and he painted a portrait of one of his very close friends. And this person is also a 12th grader.
Okay.
But these talented students, Central High, I want to say shout out to Mr. James Dacus, the art instructor over there. His students do amazing work. So you want to come to the event, so you'll find out who the winners are for the art and essay contest.
Awesome.
Now, lastly, we always like to share nuggets. Because somebody out there, you never know, you might be the answer to their prayers. Something that you say can be encouraging. What would you say? What kind of words of encouragement do you have for the Memphis community?
For the Memphis community, one, I would say, listen, we have to keep believing. I think with so much negativity, we can allow the negativity to shut down any hope of the possibility of a new day. And while yet there's so much focus on the negativity, there's so much positivity happening. It doesn't make the news, it doesn't pull in the ratings, but I am encouraged every day. Not only churches, but organizations around are really still believing and still make an impact. And so while it looks bleak, while it looks dark, it's not dark. It's so much happening with the next generation, with mentors and leaders in every sector of this city pouring into folks. And so I think there's still hope. The other thing I would say, listen, if we're going to create change, we talked about innovation, we talked about the ability. These are conversations we've been having. The ability to make impact and change. The old saying is still true. If you want to continue to experience the same thing, keep doing the same thing. But if you want to do something new, you want to experience something new, we have to change some things. And so I think unifying our efforts all across this city, all across this area, all across this Mid-South area is going to be so critical for us as we continue to make a change with this. And then the next thing is continue to make an impact on the next generation. We have to believe that despite what news says, despite what statistics say, despite what it appears to be, there are so many bright leaders that are coming out of these next generation. And they're not the leaders of tomorrow, they're leading right now. And so we don't take them serious, and this is a big call to churches. The big call to churches is this: hey, leaders in our church are right in our faces. They don't have to be a certain age group for us to take them serious, for them to be part of leadership right in high school, right in college. There are the leaders of today. Don't wait till somebody turn a certain age for you to put them in leadership. Now is the time if we want to make a difference in the church, in the city, and in our community.
Yes. I happen to, know you from different levels, from
Right.
church and also from school,
Right.
where you are an administrator
Mhm.
at what school?
Crosstown High.
Crosstown
Yes,
High.
yes, yes.
So,
Wonderful opportunity to serve a diverse group of students in the Crosstown Concourse. A dream place to be, and a dream job for me to have. I serve as director of culture, and I get the opportunity to serve our students in a wonderful way. And so right there in Crosstown is the birthing of some of the greatest students on the planet, with some of the greatest educators in the world. Literally a dream place. I mean, you have to see it to believe it, to see the wonderful works that are happening out across town. Yes, yes.